Sister Wives star makes shocking admission about her failed marriage. A star of TLC's Sister Wives made a shocking admission about her failed marriage to Kody Brown. The reality actress talked about the terrible sadness she's been going through since their breakup on social media. She also talked about how her recovery process is still going on. Meri Brown, Kody Brown's first legal wife, spoke on Instagram about how she was feeling about her bereavement. She posted a video with a description that said, "Our healing journeys are as unique as our life stories. There's no rulebook for the exact right way to grieve, process, or move through and beyond tough times. Some days you'll fly, and some days you'll fall. Both are parts of the journey." Meri talked about how she deals with her loss in her video. She said that everyone heals in their own way. She didn't name Kody explicitly, but she did talk about how she's moving on from their breakup. "I know what I need to do to deal with my grief and move on," Meri said. "Just like everyone else does. It's so personal and different for each of us. The process is not the same for everybody." Meri and Kody Brown split up in 2023 after being together for more than 30 years. They got married in 1990, but Kody divorced Meri in 2014 so he could marry Robyn Brown and adopt her 3 children from a previous marriage, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. Meri was still spiritually married to Kody, even though they were divorced. She was also married to Janelle Brown and Christine Brown. In December 2022, after Kody said in a confessional that their marriage was over, Meri wrote about her feelings in a Sister Wives tell-all. The couple officially announced their separation in 2023. "After more than a decade of working on our relationship in our own unique ways, we made the decision to permanently end our marriage relationship," the statement said, according to Us Weekly. Meri and Kody have a son named Leon Brown, but Garrison Brown is headed back home. Janelle Brown talked about why they chose to bury their son Garrison in Wyoming after he killed himself. He was 25 years old. On the May 11th episode, she claimed, "Kody actually grew up in Wyoming. My mother was married to Kody's father. The Browns have a long history in Wyoming. I want to bury Garrison close to my mom, and Kody's dad is also buried there. He was very much shaped by his experiences going for the summer, working there on the ranch." The family decided to bury Garrison's ashes in a small cemetery that Janelle, who also shares kids Logan Brown, Madison Brush, Hunter Brown, Gabriel Brown, and Savannah Brown with Kody, said feels very Wyoming. "You can look out and see the mountains surround this big basin," she said. "The wind is usually blowing. The vista is really lovely. It's a view of Wyoming." The 10-year-old said that she would eventually be buried next to Garrison. She also said that his tragic death finally put an end to some of the Brown family's ongoing problems. "Garrison's death has brought about a lot of healing of relationships, which has been good," she said. "Despite all of the flaws and problems that the adults had, we raised these kids that really do feel like they were siblings. That was our main goal because a lot of plural families raise them in separate homes," she said. "Sometimes they don't even talk to each other, but we really, really wanted them to be siblings. I believe we have done well." For Kody, who had been having problems with Garrison for a while before he died, the chance to bury his ashes in Wyoming felt like a pilgrimage. The patriarch, who has 18 kids with his wife Robyn Brown and his exes Janelle, Meri Brown, and Christine Brown, added, "I want to take his remains. I want to take him home and put him in the ground next to his grandma and grandpa." Kody, who is 56, thought the choice was an opportunity to finish the circle. Read on to learn more about this season of Sister Wives. Sister Wives Janelle Brown's photos, but the summer sun beat down on Flagstaff, but inside the small home of Michael T. Brown and her husband Tony Padron, the air was thick with anticipation, tension, and an unspoken storm of emotions. Michael T. was almost ready to give birth to twin girls. The birth was supposed to be a happy family event, but the Brown family's broken state threatened to ruin everything. Just like her mother Christine had once suggested, Michael T. wanted to have her baby at home. She thought it would be quieter and more personal. But as the contractions got closer and harder, so did the chaos outside her door. Kody Brown hadn't been to see his elder kids in weeks because he was still fighting with Christine and Janelle. Mykelti had tried to get him to come to the birth of his granddaughters, but he simply sent a short message. Best of luck. I'll come see you when things calm down. Christine, who was fiercely loyal to her daughter, was there, coaching Mykelti with a steady voice and determined hands. Mykelti's older sister Aspen was also there, having flown in from Utah to support her. Tony paced the hallway nervously, holding his phone and calling for backup while updating the midwife. Robyn, on the other hand, stayed curiously quiet. She hadn't even sent Mykelti a text to say congratulations. At 2:14 a.m., the first cry broke the silence of the night. As another contraction hit her, Mykelti held on to her mother's arm. Her body shook as sweat dripped down her face. I can't do this, she moaned. Mom, I'm scared. Christine leaned in and moved Mykelti's hair out of her face. You can do this, Mykelti. You were made for this. The midwife got there soon after. But there was a problem. Baby A was breech. The midwife's face grew black with worry. We might need to take her to the hospital, she murmured. Tony's heart sank. Mykelti had been quite clear that she wanted to give birth at home. She wanted the twins to be born in a tranquil, spiritual place, not in a sterile hospital. No, Mykelti said through the pain. Let's try everything before we move. The following 4 hours were filled with screaming, moving around, warm compresses, essential oils, and soft prayers. The midwife worked hard to move the baby into a safer position, and Christine stayed by her side the whole time. A knock on the door came at 7:45 a.m., just as the sun came out from behind the clouds and lighted up the room where the baby was born. Tony opened it to see Janelle standing there with a breakfast tray and a shaky grin. Her eyes were puffy from a night trip. Janelle stated, I heard she was going into labor. I had to be here. A few moments later, another car drew up. To my surprise, it was Mary. Christine was shocked when Mary walked in with a plush llama toy in her hand. I didn't want to miss this. Not again, Mary whispered gently, her voice heavy with the weight of past regrets. It was a bittersweet occasion. The ladies who had previously lived a life together were now coming together for the sake of a new generation, even if their families were at odds. A hard but successful birth baby, A was born at 8:16 a.m. after hours of hard work. She was healthy and crying loudly. Baby B came out just 8 minutes later. She was smaller, quieter, and just as lovely. Tony kissed Mykelti's forehead while he cried. Christine hugged her granddaughter with shaky hands. Even Mary, who was across the room, had to wipe her eyes. Mykelti was in bed later that afternoon, cuddling both twins. She looked across the room and saw Janelle giggling quietly with Aspen, Mary folding blankets, and Christine cooking soup in the kitchen. People still missed Kody and Robyn, but love, healing, womanhood, and strength had filled the hole. In the weeks that followed, the birth of the twins changed everything. Christine and Mary, who had been fighting, started texting each other more. Janelle came by more often. Kody finally came to see his granddaughters after seeing pictures of them, but it was awkward, short, and full of unresolved tension. But for Mykelti, her home birth wasn't only about bringing a new life into the world. It was also about seeing how a family could come together, heal, and start over, even when things were broken. Evangeline and Marisol, the twins, would grow up in a world of mixed families and broken love. But they would also learn that women who support each other through hard times are strong. But the dusty winds of Flagstaff swirled across the Brown family's property, bringing with them the weight of years gone by. What used to be a symbol of unity, Kody's ambition of building 4 homes on one piece of land, was now vacant, a graveyard of broken promises and abandoned aspirations. Mary, the first wife, sat on the porch of her rented home. The sun was setting behind the mountains as she drank her tea and let her mind wander. The woman who used to hold on so tightly to the idea of family and plural marriage had changed. Loss, betrayal, and years of emotional neglect had made her stronger, but also harder. Mary had finally opened a retreat center in Utah. It wasn't just a business, it was her new life. She was no longer defined by her title as the first wife or Kody's distant partner. She was now her own person. She smiled faintly as she thought about how far she had come since that lonely conversation when Kody said their relationship was nothing more than a friendship. That pain had turned into fuel for a new life. At the same time, Janelle, the practical and fiercely independent second wife, was going through her own problems. Her sons were angry with Kody, and after Garrison died, the family tensions boiled over. They were all grieving, but for Janelle, it was like a fire. She had always managed the money, balanced her kids' needs, and kept the peace, but now she wanted peace for herself. She bought a small piece of land and moved into a cozy cabin where she grew vegetables, raised chickens, and finally read the books she never had time for. Her children visited often, especially Savannah, who had just graduated. Janelle wasn't bitter anymore, just tired. And in that tiredness, she found freedom. Christine, the third wife, had long since broken free from the chaos. Her marriage to Kody had crumbled under the weight of neglect and favoritism. But she had done what no one thought she would. She left. And not just left, but thrived. With a new love in her life and a new home in Utah, Christine became a symbol for women everywhere who wanted more than just endurance in marriage. She hosted a podcast, appeared in women's conferences, and even signed a book deal. Mom kids were impressed with how much she had changed. Even Kody, who was angry over Mom leaving, had come to respect her for having the courage he never had. Robyn was the favorite wife, as many people called her. She was once thought to be the reason the family fell apart, but she was fighting her own silent war. The life she wanted, Kody by her side, and a close family was gone. Kody had become angry, distant, and almost unrecognizable. The man who had promised to protect and be loyal to her now spent most of his days brooding, angry at the media, angry at the fans, and angry at his own mistakes. Robyn sat in their big, quiet house, watching her kids play and wondering if she had made the right choice. She didn't want to admit it, but she missed the sisterhood, the laughter, the late-night discussions, and even the fights. Now she was alone with a damaged man, and the silence was deafening. Kody Brown, formerly the lively head of a big polygamist family, was now lost in his own emotions. His dream had fallen apart. One wife had left him, another hardly spoke to him, and one had redefined her independence. The last one left, Robyn, was slowly losing faith in him. He stood in the middle of the land where Coyote Pass was meant to grow, with 4 homes and 20 kids running around. But nothing had been built. Just desert, dust, and sadness. When the sun finally set behind the mountains, the land was bathed in twilight shadows. This was a significant moment. Mary lit a candle in her place of retreat. Janelle finished her novel in her tranquil cabin. Christine giggled in Utah, while her fiancé whirled her around at a family barbecue. And Robyn stood at her window, wondering whether holding on too tightly had made everything go away. The Brown family didn't die. It changed. From a broken multiple marriage sprang 4 very different stories of being a woman, being a mother, losing someone, and starting over. And maybe the real legacy of sister wives wasn't the marriages that fell apart, but the women who got stronger. But Janelle Brown knew it was time after all the pain, loss, and self-discovery. The dust had settled in Flagstaff, and Christine was doing well in Utah, and Mary was making her own way. Janelle felt a stirring in her soul, a pull toward something new. Something east. Janelle had always been the quiet strength in the family. Her calm logic, deep love for her children, and steady resilience had kept her grounded for years amidst the chaos that was the Brown family. But now, with her marriage to Kody irrevocably fractured and her children grown and scattered, Janelle stood at a crossroads. And this time, she chose herself. Savannah came up with the idea. Janelle fell in love with the rolling hills, crisp mountain air, and soft quietness that seemed to cover the area while she and her mother were on a road trip through the Blue Ridge Mountains. Asheville, North Carolina, with its artsy energy and small-town charm, felt like a world away from the emotional weight she had carried in Flagstaff. By early spring, Janelle had packed up her RV, which was a sign of her freedom and independence, and driven east. She didn't just leave a city behind. She also left behind a version of herself that she didn't need anymore. She wasn't running away, she was starting over. Janelle rented a small cabin on the edge of town, surrounded by wildflowers and whispering pines. The mornings were cool and quiet, and she often started her day with coffee on the porch and writing in her journal. The people in town were friendly and welcoming, not knowing that she had been on reality TV before. Here, she was just Janelle, not a sister wife. She joined a community garden, volunteered at a food co-op, and eventually started taking classes on holistic nutrition at a nearby college. Health had always been important to her, but now it became a passion project. She started a small blog called Rooted with Janelle, where she shared recipes, wellness tips, and life lessons from a woman who had loved, lost, and learned. One peaceful afternoon, Mary wrote her a letter by hand. It was passionate and thoughtful. This was the first time Mary had contacted her since their family broke up and they stopped talking to each other. "You were usually the one who stayed calm, Janelle. I hope you find what you're seeking for out there. I might come to see your garden one day." A few weeks later, Christine came to visit with Truly. They laughed, cooked, and talked about life after Kody until late at night. For the first time in years, there was no tension, just two women getting their pleasure back. Kody called, which was a surprise. His voice was lower and less excited than she remembered. "I heard you're in North Carolina. I hope you're happy, Janelle. I don't think I ever realized how much you meant to me." It was the end, not spectacular, not sad. Just the last stone on a long, winding road. Janelle started the Cedar Grove Sanctuary, a wellness retreat for women in the fall. It was a place for women to heal, grow, and rediscover themselves. Women came from all over to stroll the woodland trails, eat healthy cuisine, and reconnect with themselves. At the end of the season, Janelle stood alone at the border of her land, surrounded by golden leaves. She was no longer someone's wife or in anyone's shadow. She had planted herself somewhere new and was flowering. But Flagstaff was peaceful that afternoon, but inside Kody Brown's house, things were getting stormy. The recent breakups had left emotional scars, but now, at least for Kody, the wounds were starting to feel more financial than emotional. As the camera moved over Kody sitting stiffly in his favorite leather chair, with his brows furrowed and his voice stern, he said, "They don't love me anymore, but they still want what I built. This is all about money now." The situation changed to a confessional. Kody's eyes flared with anger. "I've been supporting these women and their kids for decades. I built homes, managed finances, and made sacrifices for the family unit. Now that some of them have left, they want a piece of everything. It feels like I'm a walking ATM." Christine was baking with Truly at her house in Utah, and there was flour on her cheek and laughter in the air. But when the producer inquired about Kody's recent claims, things got serious. Christine stopped, wiped her hands, and said calmly, "This isn't about the money for me. I left to find peace. But yes, I want what's fair. I spent years building a life with him. I raised his kids. I didn't get paid to be a sister wife." In a neat apartment furnished with plants and books, Janelle sat sipping tea. "Honestly, I handled the finances for years. I was frugal. I budgeted every dollar. Now Kody's acting like we're all gold diggers? That's just hurtful." She sighed and said, "If he thinks this is about greed, maybe he never really understood why we were there in the first place." Mary, who now lived alone, had her own ideas. She thought quietly, while filming at her own B&B in Parowan. "I was loyal. Even when I felt like I was invisible, I stayed. Now he thinks I want money? I just want closure. I want my share of the legacy I helped build. That's not greed. It's fairness." Robyn, still with Kody, finally talks. Robyn sat across from Kody and felt uneasy. "They're not after your money, Kody," she murmured softly. "They just want justice. You know they gave up everything to be in this family. Maybe it's time to stop thinking like a businessman and start thinking like a father and husband again." Kody, on the other hand, wasn't ready to hear it. "I'm not the bad guy here, Robyn. They're all turning on me. It's betrayal in the name of settlement checks." Tensions boiled over at the family meeting, which the producers insisted on taping. Christine kept her ground. This isn't about money. It's about respect. Janelle nodded. We're asking for what's fair. You think we're attacking you, but we're just asking for what we deserve. Kody jumped up and paced about. You all left. You can't leave and still take all my money. Mary looked at him, calm but sad. You already drained us, Kody. Emotionally. We're just trying to put what's left of our lives back together. As the program came to an end, dramatic music played. Kody sat alone again, stewing in isolation. The confessional came in one last time. Maybe I was wrong, he said, his voice breaking a little. But when you give everything and feel like all anyone wants is more, it messes with your head. But the Brown family is starting a new season, not just of the year but of life itself. The sun rises over the red cliffs of Flagstaff, Arizona, and change is in the air. Kody Brown is sitting alone on the porch of what used to be the family home. The silence is thick. Christine is gone, and Mary is officially out, leaving only Robyn in the house they all believed would bring the family together. But Robyn seems aloof, distracted, and strangely secretive. Janelle has moved into her new rental in North Carolina. She is starting her new wellness business and is building a life that doesn't revolve around Kody. Her grown children, notably Gabriel and Garrison, who have broken off all contact with their father, support her. Robyn throws a bombshell. She's been seeing a therapist alone for months and is finally ready to talk to Kody about how their relationship has become toxic and codependent. She needs space, which is something Kody never thought he'd hear from the one woman he thought would never leave. During a family dinner supposed to reunite the Browns, things go out of hand. Robyn cries and tells Kody, I stayed loyal, but loyalty doesn't mean losing myself. Christine shows up again just as Kody thinks things are calming down. This time, she doesn't want to get back together. She wants to invite the family to her wedding to David Woolley. The ceremony will be in Utah, and Christine wants Kody's kids to escort her down the aisle. Kody is enraged. You're trying to humiliate me in front of the world, he yells during a video conference with Christine. But she is serene, beaming, and happy. Everything Kody used to admire but no longer controls. Janelle's story takes a romantic turn when she meets Andrew, a kind and charming organic chef, at a book signing for her health journey memoir. Their friendship grows into something more. Kody finds out about it through the grapevine and sends her a cryptic text that says, Didn't think you'd be the next to betray the family. Janelle doesn't answer since she's too busy organizing her first vacation to Europe by herself. The Brown kids get together on camera for a special episode, and for the first time, they talk openly about how hard it was for them to grow up in a broken plural marriage. Isabel talks about how Christine's back surgery trip changed her relationship with Kody forever, and Leon talks about their struggle with identity and how they didn't feel supported. This episode is so sad that even the most devoted admirers of the family are shaken. Kody tries to talk to each of his adult children one-on-one, but most of them say no. Robyn is distant, and Mary has cut off all communication. With his once powerful family empire slipping through his fingers, he turns to his spiritual counselor. Kody says something very personal. I thought I was the head of a great family. Now I don't even know who I am without them. At the end of the episode, Kody is alone, looking at old family photos and hearing laughing from memories that are long gone. The women are what the season finale is really about, not Kody. Christine gets married in a beautiful ceremony in Utah with her kids and friends there. Janelle obtains a lease for her new wellness center. Robyn goes to see her sister in Oregon for the first time in years, and she goes alone. And Mary? She starts a retreat center for single women in Utah, finally living her truth after her marriage ended. The narrator's last words: this season of Sister Wives isn't about polygamy, power, or patriarchy. It's about healing, independence, and the strength of women who refuse to stay silent. The Brown family may never be the same again, and maybe that's exactly what they needed. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Sabrina. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe.